Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me. Well, today we're going to create another card project, a thank you card, and we're using a stamp set that's part of the Spellbinders and Fun Stampers Journey Buzzworthy collection. I had created a card earlier here with this stamp set, and I thought we would create another one with the block print stamp set. This is super easy to do. My card today is pretty basic and doesn't take much because of the block prints. There's 3 sentiments in here. One says miss you, one says thank you, and then the other one says just because. And then there are 3 different shaped block prints. One of them has a butterfly, another one has a couple of mushrooms on there which are really pretty, and then another one has the circle one has a sunflower, and I think that's the one that we're going to use today. Now these are most solid images, so you could use your colored inks if you wanted to stamp them. And there is areas behind the solid image that remain white. So I thought it'd be neat to add a little bit of color and do some heat embossing with my card today. So we're going to jump in. I have some Bristol Smooth cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and take the sunflower image and put that in an acrylic block. So that's ready to go. But I was hoping to get away with 1 panel, and I think we can squeeze all 3 sunflowers on this panel, so that's a good thing. I'm going to use my Distress Oxide inks to color in my backgrounds, and I'm also going to use my blending brushes. So the first color will be with Broken China. I'll add this to the bottom right corner. Just do a little bit of blending, and then intensifying in the middle, spreading it out, just in an area big enough for that circle. My next color will be Twisted Citron, and we're going to do a little ink blending to the left in the middle here. This way we can squeeze again all 3 in here. I chose these 3 colors because they're on the lighter side, and I wanted to do some gold embossing, and I think these 3 colors are going to go really well with my gold embossing powder. Next color is Worn Lipstick. So we'll just add a little color to this top left corner, and it's not the top left, it's the top right. We'll just do a little ink blending, and I think this is going to work out great. Okay, since we did use oxide inks, they do stay on the paper wet a little bit longer. So if you're going to plan on doing any kind of heat embossing like this, you want to make sure that you do have a dry background. So I'm going to speed up the process by just using my anti-static powder bag and go really generously over these inks. And then we'll take our stamp and some Versamark ink and ink up our image really well and stamp directly in the center of each one of these colored areas. They stamp beautifully. There's one, and then we'll just continue with our second one here and get up really good. One of them I did get off a little bit. They overlapped, but that's okay. We're going to create a banner for our sentiment, and I think I can get away with tucking it underneath there so you'd never be able to tell. I'm going to go ahead and grab my gold embossing powder, and then I can't find my spoon, so we're going to use some scratch paper. I'll just scoop some on my images, and then we'll just tap off the excess, and it worked good. I'm glad I used the generous amount of that powder because I think it would have been a hot mess if I didn't. But I'll use my heat gun and melt the embossing powder. You can see here how pretty the images are. Okay, now I went through my dies and found one that's pretty much the same size. This is the Hem Stitch Circle die set from Spellbinders, and I think the smallest one is going to die cut out the circle just right. So I'll just tape it down and then run all 3 of these through my die cut machine, so we have 3 different colored circle flowered backgrounds here. Okay, now I have 2 panels. We're going to emboss our white panel that measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. We're using a very large polka dotted embossing folder. I thought the circles with the circles would be really nice for the background. And then I also have a pool play cardstock panel that measures card front size, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. We're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to adhere this to the top right corner. So basically we're going to have an L shape with that blue pool play cardstock. I think it's going to really bring out that blue in the background. Now I'm going to flip over each one of my circles, and we're going to add foam adhesive behind each one of them, and then we are going to stamp our sentiment. My sentiment today, I'm going to use the thank you. I'll pick this up, and then we're going to stamp that with Versamark ink. And then we're going to stamp it towards the lower portion of my white cardstock here. And this is a little less than 1.5 inch strip. I think it's the perfect size for that sentiment. I am going to use my gold embossing powder once more, and we'll heat set our sentiment, so that's good to go. Now once this is ready, I'll take my scissors and fishtail the bottom area, creating a fishtail banner. And it's a little bit longer than I want, but we can trim it after we kind of figure out our placement. So I'm just going to take each one of my circles, and I know I wanted 2 tucked under the fishtail banner and then 1 on top. And originally I was going to go with the pink, but I think the blue is going to look a lot nicer, only because we have that blue L showing on the left there. I think that's just going to work out better. So we're going to just do a switcheroo. Tuck this under there. I'm going to go ahead and adhere my green circle. I did pop each one of these up with some foam adhesive, and the green was the one that was a little bit short, so we're going to make sure that that's tucked underneath the banner there. And you also want to make sure that your flowers are right side up too, because there is a stem on there. Next I'm going to add some foam squares. And now I don't know if you guys can tell what I'm doing wrong right away, but I'm adding foam adhesive to the right of my banner, and actually the right of my banner is going to be over on my florals, so that's not the right spot. So I'm going to scoot them over. We're going to put them on the right side here, and then I'll use my tape runner along the other side, and then this way the foam adhesive is on my panel and not my flowers. We'll trim off the excess that's overhanging. I like the placement of it here. It's pretty close to the bottom of my white panel that's embossed. Next we're going to place our blue circle overhanging about halfway over the banner, and then over the other 2 circles also. Okay, for finishing touches, I'm going to use some crystal drops. I wanted some little white clusters in the center of each one of those sunflowers, just to add a little white to the gold. And then I also wanted to, we're going to add a little bit of dimension too by using those white Nouveau drops. Okay, I wanted to bring in a little bit of added sparkle. So these are really pretty. These are called sparkly drops, and they're gold, and they're bumpy. They're awful pretty. There's like little bubbles on there. I'm going to add a few above my blue sunflower, and then a few next to the sentiment. While I had my crystal drops out, I'm going to add one more drop to the center of the smaller flower in each one of those circles, just so it flows a little bit nicer. Okay, I think that's looking really pretty. I tap it down just to flatten those Nouveau drops, so they're not so pointy like a Hershey Kiss. They're more rounded. We're going to go ahead, and since my card has those Nouveau drops on there, I'm going to go ahead and add adhesive to my card base, which is an A2 size card base, and then we'll just take our panel and put it right over the top, kind of securing it. We can press it down better too once it's all dry. But that's my card for today, guys. If you're interested in seeing still shots, I encourage you to visit my blog. I'll list that down below along with everything I used. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.